Overwatch 2. The good, the bad, and the ugly. That's the video title. Keep all this in the video. We're doing it live. The good, we'll start with that. Easy enough to do. Number one, the sound. I think the sound design overall for Overwatch 2 is pretty great. I think that's like the one thing that they showed even like years ago at BlizzCon. And not that like Overwatch 1 had bad sounds, but just like literally almost every sound in Overwatch 2 sounds better. The guns sound beefier. Like there's kill sounds. Overall, the sound for Overwatch 2 is like definitely a plus. I'd also say the graphics as a whole are definitely better. I'm not entirely sold on like the different times of day for maps. I think some maps look better, some look worse. And I'm not sure exactly what they're doing with Overwatch 2 yet in terms of if you're going to be able to get both versions or not. I'm not sure if they said that. Maybe one of you guys in chat knows. Because like I don't want to only play daytime King's Row. I think like King's Row was much, much better at night. It seems like they made like half the maps just like evening, where like the sun is like in your eyes. Gibraltar was already bad enough dealing with that. I feel like they didn't really need to make like half the maps at dusk, but it's still cool though. I like the change, but I definitely think they were much better at night, some of the maps. But other than like just the time of day changes, overall like the graphics, you can tell they tweaked certain heroes. You can see Tracer's face there, a little bit different. She looks more like a real human now, I guess I would say. So overall, the graphics are definitely a decent step up. Not that I play on max settings anyway. I think ultimately Overwatch is one of those games where the graphics are kind of whatever. That's true for most multiplayer, like competitive shooters. But it's still nice that they did spend the time to actually do some upgrades at different areas. So sound, graphics, both pretty great in terms of upgrades. But really, when it comes to like different aspects, that's actually no, it's not as far as I would go. I would still say also, I think Sojourn is an extremely well-designed hero. Like, if every other new hero they add is similar to how Sojourn is, or not similar, but they put as much effort in, and it's as good as, like, Sojourn was, then I think Overwatch 2 will be great. Because I think the hero design for that hero is really good. You have movement, you have, like, different gun abilities than most others, and you have, like, the railgun, which seems pretty fun. I think she's really good hero design. So that gets me somewhat excited to see what they do with the rest. Because obviously they haven't shown any new tanks yet. So I have no idea how the Doomfist change, the Orisa rework, both those are nice. I think Orisa is definitely more fun to play, and I can't say whether or not she's more fun to play against. Like, yeah, nobody likes shooting shields, but the new Orisa is pretty annoying to play against with her like invulnerability thing. But I don't want to like talk too much about balance, just because come release, I think a lot of stuff will be different than it is in beta right now. So I feel like balance is one of those things where it's not worth going too much into, because the game is going to be very different come launch. But in terms of 5v5 versus 6v6 though, I do think that 6v6 was still better. I don't know what the general consensus how most people feel. It seems like from talking with most people, I think most people would have preferred 6v6 still. Even like DPS players seem like a lot of them were okay with it. I think just nobody liked double shield, which is completely fair. Like Orisa Sigma, or like, you know, Rein Sigma, Rein Orisa, those comps are miserable to play against. I think there's a lot of other options Blizzard could have done and still kept Overwatch 2 6v6 and made everyone happy. I still enjoy 5v5. I think it's fun still, but if I had to pick between one or the other, I would have definitely wanted to keep 6v6. And I'm not just saying this as a tank player. I'm saying it from like a gameplay standpoint. I think there was a lot more synergy and a lot more like team comp uniqueness you could do having two tanks. Only having one really kind of almost makes the game just a lot more brawly and just a lot more like... Which, if that was their goal to make it faster plays cool, like, it definitely does feel more scrappy and faster, but I can't say it's necessarily better. It seems like I'm more steamrolled now. What, the games? I mean, individual players have much more impact into the games now. Like, the fact that there's literally one less player on the team. If you have, like, one of your DPS who's just bad, the other team has two good DPS, there's, like, less room to make up for that difference as other heroes. So, individuals will have a much bigger outcome on the overall outcome of the game, which is, you know, both good and bad, I guess, depending on the way you look at it. And then, in terms of new maps, I like most of the new maps. The new game type, I still like. I've said before, I would have liked to see them add something like 5 CP from Team Fortress 2. For anyone who doesn't know what that was, both teams would start with like 2 cap points, and then the middle point would be unlocked. You would both fight over that, and then you would want to push the team all the way back. So it's similar to what push is, but instead of it being a payload, it was cap points, which I think they easily could have done. Like, they have hybrid, they have cap points. I think it would have just been straight up better than push. But compared to like 2 CP or anything else like that, push is definitely much, much better. So I'm okay with that. So really, there's a lot of good about Overwatch 2. I feel like everything I just talked about was mostly talking about the good about it. Like, I went into it with very tempered expectations because I had heard, like, by the time I played, a lot of people were like, eh. And I'm definitely enjoying it. And if there was ranked right now, I know I'd be enjoying it a lot more. But like I said, a lot of the changes I do like. In terms of the changes I don't like, I think a lot of the UI changes are like hit or miss. I like the scoreboard, being able to see your teammates' damage and death counts and everything. It should have been like that from day one. Like, I know they removed it to try and combat toxicity, which is understandable to an extent. I know them re-adding damage and death is definitely going to add some more like toxicity to games, but it also makes it for like as a shot caller, when your team is getting rolled and you're trying to like figure out like, okay, what's going on here? Is it me calling wrong? Is something going wrong? Being able to actually look at the scoreboard and see like which one of your teammates isn't pulling their weight, I think is going to make it a lot easier for shot callers to like not call their teammates out, but realize like, okay, this guy's struggling. What can we do to maybe put him on a different hero or do something to make this player play better? So I like some of the scoreboard changes, but then the ult charge meter I think is pretty bad. It used to be you could easily just press tab real fast and see the number and see like, okay, my teammate's like 95% to ult. I should wait a couple seconds to use it. With the new scoreboard, it seems like you have to like look. Maybe it's because I'm not used to it yet. Maybe I'll be more used to it once like I've seen it more. But it really seems like it's hard to just take a quick glance and see what ult charge your teammate is at. So like in hectic fights, if I'm like trying to save my grab for like Hanzo Zarya, it's a lot harder to know exactly what my Hanzo's at from just a small glance. So I don't like the UI change there. And then I also am not sold still on, again, some of the hero reworks. Like I said, like I like Orisa to an extent, but she does feel kind of annoying just to play against. Like instead of shooting shields, now you're just like shooting a hero that's literally invulnerable and you can't do anything against it. Same with Doomfist. So for me personally, I would actually have rather shot shields than deal with either of the two new ones, but I think I'm in the minority there. Hold on. I had a notepad file with some of this. Let me see if I had any other thoughts I forgot. I think that was most of it. Overall, though, I'm happy with the game. I think come release, it'll be good, but there definitely are some flaws that I hope come release it will be better about. They said the scoreboard UI is temporary? Oh, cool. Then that thought is out the window. Who gives a shit then? Let me go Q now. That's good enough for YouTube. We'll clip it and ship it. Fuck it. YouTubers eat anything up. But if you guys want to ask questions or anything now, I'm more than welcome to answer some of the stuff. Oh, the ping system. I totally forgot about the ping system. I mean, ping system's good. I think... I don't know. I don't... Maybe it'll be used some. Like, in pro level, I don't think you're going to see the ping system used much at all. Like, people normally just communicate, and it's a lot easier to call than ping, I think, personally. But maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't know if, like, in Owl, if you're able to see pings, actually... And if they have been using pings or not. Anyone watch Owl and see if you can see them actually? Owl, they use it a lot. I can see it, especially for teams with like the language barrier. Without a doubt, I could see it. I feel like the beta was rushed a few years ago prior to the game. You mean like how it was like when they showed it at BlizzCon? Or what do you mean exactly? What would I want of a new tank hero for Overwatch 2? Definitely something with movement abilities again. I've always said, like, I think any movement-based heroes are extremely fun. So, stuff like Hammond, Doomfist, I think could even be fun if I was better at them. Sojourn, I thought is really fun. So, something that, you know, not necessarily Hammond, but something that at least has the mobility to be able to get around and do some cool stuff. Maybe something with, like, some sort of wall riding ability. Like, not like Lucio, something that can, like, wall run. But, like, not, like, permanent like Lucio. I think that would be kind of cool to see as, like, either a tank or DPS. Will I learn Doomfist? I'll definitely learn him more, but I don't think he's that amazing right now. And come release, it's like too early to say like which heroes are really worth trying to focus on practicing. Because obviously the beta is going down in a few days, so it doesn't make sense to like practice a ton of heroes right now. And then come release, there's going to be new tank heroes that might be better than any of the current ones. It's hard to say.
All right, soldiers.
Being on Zarya as a solo tank, I think Zarya's pretty great. I think she won't be meta on a lot of maps, but I think she's fun to play. And I think on certain maps, like King's Row, she will be good. I've said, like, Overwatch is at its best when there is no, like, de facto best hero. Like, Overwatch, from, like, day one, has always been designed with, like, different heroes being better on different maps. At least that's how, in my opinion, it should be. Because different maps have different playstyles. A map like Gibraltar is going to be entirely different than something like King's Row. Gibraltar has a lot more height, so you need something with more mobility, like D.Va or Winston. As opposed to King's Row, it's pretty just running forward. So something like Rhine or Zarya is better on it. So I think Zarya on certain maps will be good, but not good on others, which is good. Like, that's how it should be. On other maps, you're going to have stuff like Hammond, Hog can be okay. What about the CC changes? I think most of them are good, too. It honestly feels pretty surreal playing Hammond and not just getting, like, stunned into oblivion when they have, like, Brig, Cassidy, like, a bunch of other stuff. So I dig most of those. But I feel like there's some abilities, though, that almost feel like they should do CC still. And the fact that they don't is really weird and going to take me a lot of getting used to. Like, Brig Bash almost feels like it should CC more. And it doesn't stun at all anymore. So some of the stuff is weird. Oh, bro, these are 90% changes that could happen right now in a patch. I will say, I'm hoping there is a lot more behind the scenes that Blizzard isn't showing yet. Because, holy fuck, it's been like, what, 2-3 years since the last map release? And if they would have stayed at, like, their standard, like, content update schedule for Overwatch 1, by now, we would have had, like, probably, what, 5 or 6 new heroes, like, 4 or 5 new maps. So I'm hoping there's a lot more, like, going on behind the scenes that they just is pretty close to being ready, but they just didn't want to put in the beta yet because it's not 100% ready. At least, you know, that's what I'm hoping, because otherwise it sounds like the whole, like, sexual harassment situation might have had more of an impact on development than you would have thought. That and, like, obviously COVID and a bunch of stuff. Like, obviously every game was delayed some, but with what they have currently in the beta, it definitely could have been, like, just an update for Overwatch. You wish if they changed all map and adding new maps just to feel like the game is new? Well, it does feel like some changes they made almost just for the sake of changes. Like, obviously, making certain maps daytime, certain maps nighttime. It's almost like they just did it just for the sake of, like, hey, look, this is different. Which, I mean, is cool. Like, again, I like the different time of day system. But, like I said, it's almost just like they made some of the changes just for the sake of being like, hey, look, this is a new game. We have to change stuff. Are they focused on the maps instead of the mops? Don't know what that means, but true. There's at least 3 more maps they've shown off. Okay. So that's like what? In the beta right now, there's what, 4 or 5 new maps on top of that. I've said I would be happy with me if Overwatch 2 comes out, when it does. I would be happy if there were 2 new heroes in each role. So 2 new tanks, 2 new supports, 2 new DPS. And then also like a good 8 new maps along with the new game type. With that, I would be okay with that. And then, because obviously the PvE is going to be a pretty big aspect. Even though I care more about the PvP, the PvE will be pretty fun. Because I've already said, the most fun events in Overwatch 1 were like the Uprising ones. Any of like the ones versus the Omnics, where you have like waves of enemies, I thought were very fun. So with Overwatch 2, the whole PvE sounds like it'll be fun. But I don't think that's the main appeal for a lot of people. Maybe it is. I don't know what like the casual player base cares about. Do you think casual players care more about PvE than PvP? I'll see you guys on YouTube also. I'll see you on YouTube. Holy shit, man. Oh my god.